So Christmas was always a holiday about spiritual enlightenment, and the way that we celebrate Christmas today is just so off from what it used to be and from what it should be. So basically, the word holiday itself is a holy day, okay? So it's about getting connected to God, it's about becoming holy and whole. And to become holy and whole, that's talking about your soul. So our souls, when we fell from grace, our souls became polarized. That means that our souls were both masculine and feminine, but they were divided. And what happens is you just have like this feeling of not being complete and not being able to fulfill yourself. And what happens is people then become emotionally addicted to people, places, and things that make them feel whole again because they're missing that part of themselves in their soul. When you become enlightened, your soul unifies, it becomes whole again. You marry the masculine and feminine aspects of your psyche within. So your soul is whole, your soul is holy. So when we celebrate these holy days, these holidays, they're all actually to do with enlightenment. It's the same with Valentine's Day, and there's loads of other holy days that should actually be to celebrate enlightenment. But the problem is, people don't know what enlightenment is. Like, it's been forgotten about. When people look at the Buddhist teachings now, they think it's something that it takes thousands or millions of lifetimes to achieve, and it's not something that me and you can achieve. But actually, that's incorrect. Jesus and Buddha and the Ascended Masters came down to teach us how to become enlightened. They didn't just come down to become enlightened themselves and show off like an enlightened master, oh yeah, look at me, no one else can attain this. The only reason they came is to show us how to become enlightened, because once you become enlightened, once you unify your masculine and feminine aspects of your psyche, you can ascend out the matrix. And this is all about the ascension. And so Christmas is always about enlightenment. The word Merry Christmas is Mary, which is the feminine, the divine feminine. Christ is the divine masculine, and then mass is en masse. So it's about marrying your masculine and feminine. It's about becoming Mary and Christ en masse. It's about the unification of the masculine and feminine and becoming enlightened en masse. So Christmas is a time where loads and loads and loads of people can become enlightened if you are walking the same path that Jesus and the Buddha taught. So the story of like Santa and presents and eating loads of food at Christmas and getting drunk and stuff is just so far from what true enlightenment is. So Christmas was actually about going within, meditating, fasting rather than feasting. It was about connecting to God. And if you had done the spiritual work, which means if you were vegan, if you were eating well, if you were alkaline, if you'd been building your chi, what used to happen is that they would take these Amanita muscaria mushrooms, these fly agaric mushrooms, and these are red and white, just like Santa Claus, and people would take these mushrooms as a ceremonial thing, and those mushrooms would ascend their kundalini, and it would unify their soul and enlighten them, and it would get them to God. So isn't it funny how Santa is like this kind of like old man with a white beard, just like how God is meant to be perceived, and he wears the red and white, which is just like these mushrooms that take you to God. And so what's happened is the true way to enlightenment and the true teachings of Christ have been shrouded and changed to this way that we celebrate Christmas today, and this fake story of Santa Claus bringing presents if you're good and bad. So let me tell you a little bit about this whole story. So there's something in your brain called your claustrum, and this claustrum regulates your pineal and your pituitary gland, and it also unifies the glands and unifies the energy that they create, and it creates the Christ energy within, and it creates a Christ oil within. So this Christ energy, this chi that it creates, is a powerful substance. But if you eat too much acidic food, if you drink alcohol, if you eat animal products, it basically ruins the chi, ruins the Christ oil, and then you can't ascend basically. So what's happened is Satan, the devil, Saturn, Saturn's lower self, the negative entities that exist, basically they can't create positive things, and all they can do is destroy the positive. So what they often do is invert and flip the positive things and try and turn them negative. So what they've done is the claustrum, and the secret to becoming truly enlightened, they've changed it from a saintly claustrum, which is just like a divine holy claustrum within this part of your brain. They've changed it now to be a Santa clause, a fictional character, rather than the true knowledge of what's in your brain and how you can become enlightened. And what is Santa an anagram of? Satan. So you can see how Satan has changed the true enlightenment story to basically trick people into not really knowing what true enlightenment is anymore. So what comes next? They talk about how Santa comes down the chimney. Well, that is your Christ oil coming down your spinal cord. And so Santa comes down the chimney, and then what happens is, if you've been good, he'll leave presents and gifts. If you've been bad, he hasn't. So that is basically, if you've been good, if you've been doing the spiritual work, if you've been eating well, and if you've been looking after yourself and following the correct path, then of course you will get these gifts when your Christ oil is ascended back up. When you do achieve enlightenment, you get the gift of enlightenment, you get to speak to God. And so this is when you, at Christmas, if you do become enlightened, you get to speak to God. If you haven't been good, if you've been acidic and you've not been eating well, you've not been looking after yourself, or you've not been following the path, then you don't get the gifts. And so that is like where the whole, if you've been good, if you've been bad, you get presents from. So it's funny that now at Christmas time, we eat loads of sugar, we eat loads of meat, we drink loads of alcohol, we have all this food that's going to fill us with crap and going to ruin our insides, and it's going to make our insides acidic, just at this special time when people would actually use this time to attain and achieve Christ consciousness and enlightenment.